Well, I think if you take the Lord's words, you'll find they're pretty rigorous.
Dorothy Day, a great Catholic born in Brooklyn, is the focus of an award-winning documentary set to air nationwide on PBS. The film is being televised during Women's History Month, and while the church considers Dorothy Day's cause for sainthood, filmmaker Martin Doblmeier is the creative force behind Revolution of the Heart, the Dorothy Day Story. He joins us now. Martin, thanks for being here.
A pleasure, thank you.
So you're well known for producing profiles of some of the most significant people of faith in the 20th century. So Mother Teresa, German pastor and Nazi resistor Dietrich Bonhoeffer, also Holocaust survivor Elie Wiesel, Cardinal Bernardine. What drew you to do a documentary on Dorothy Day?
Well, I think she really is one of the most fascinating, compelling, and inspiring figures of the 20th century. I mean, she begins her life as a communist because she wants to help the masses who are in poverty. She sees that as the way to do it. And she converts to the Catholic faith. She rolls the Catholic social traditions and teachings into that, begins a newspaper so that she can speak truth to power. And then from the newspaper launches the series of homes called Houses of Hospitality, where she's just taking care of the basic needs of feeding people, providing clothing and shelter for them, and the houses just take off. It's the Depression, the Great Depression in the 1930s, and there are literally millions of people who are not being cared for. And she says, well, where is the Catholic Church? Why isn't the church doing this? I'll do this. And we're going to call it the Catholic Worker. It's both a paper, a newspaper to speak truth to power, and the Houses of Hospitality, so she could actually just simply take care of the most acute needs she saw in all the people around her.
Wow.
And to me, that's a great story.
Yeah, absolutely. And while creating the documentary, you spoke to some famous people about Dorothy Day. Let's listen into some of that.
We'd love to see Dorothy made a saint.
Some of the most profound and most rewarding demonstrations that culminated in arrests were with the Catholic worker community.
Yeah, Dorothy Day is a big troublemaker.
What was the most interesting thing you discovered about Dorothy Day?
Well, I think that, well, first of all, her commitment. Imagine a woman in 1933 deciding that she's going to open up the door and take care of thousands of people and feed them. But on the other side, I have to say, too, that this is the 2020 election cycle. And so Dorothy Day, 100 years ago, decided that she was going to go out and campaign for the right for women to vote. Wow. She gets put in jail for doing that, because there was still such a resistance to women voting. She gets put in jail, beaten while she's in jail, and yet at the same time, when it's all over with, she never voted. Well, that to me, it's one of the great ironies. When I asked the grandchildren, well, why was that possible?
Yeah.
They said, well, she was at heart an anarchist, so she couldn't always be speaking truth to power in the way that America was behaving, or the failures of America to behave properly as a moral nation, and at the same time go ahead and vote.
Yeah, she was a controversial person for many Catholic leaders, yet when she died, some bishops attended her funeral. So how and why did the reaction to Dorothy Day evolve over time?
Well, I think it's safer to look at saints through an historic lens than it is when they're right up next to you and close to you, because the role of a saint, I think, in every culture is to challenge us, to make us aware of the things that we're not doing that we should be doing in the name of Jesus Christ. To actually faithfully live the Beatitudes. And for me, she put a lot of people, she unnerved a lot of people. She just did. So there were a lot of occasions over the course of her lifetime that she ran up against the Catholic Church, formally against the Catholic Church. But now you look at her from 40 years later. She passes away in 1980. And now we are 40 years later, and she's already been named a servant of God. So she's already on that first track to being named a saint. And the people that I talk to say it's very likely she may well enter that second category of venerable by the end of this year or the beginning of 2021. So that's a remarkable turnaround.
Absolutely. So how can people see the film?
Simply go to Journey Films, Journey, journeyfilms.com.
All right, great. Revolution of the Heart, the Dorothy Day Story. Filmmaker Martin Doblmeier, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
If you're watching Currents News on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and then click on the bell to get instant updates about all of our newest content, because we are putting your faith in the news.